Okay, so a single defeat shouldn't be taken to heart. However, if that defeat happens over and over again, it does get annoying, especially for fans who expect a team as talented as PSG to perform better. Following yet another early elimination from the Champions League from a position of comfort, the Ligue 1 giants no longer have the support of their fans. During their routine Ligue 1 win over Bordeaux, the likes of Lionel Messi and Neymar were booed by their own people every time they touched the ball. It even got too much to bear for Messi's wife, who could be seen crying in the stands, while her husband was jeered and abused by the PSG faithful. There is of course no reason to abuse a player, even if you're disappointed at their performances. Indeed, both Neymar and Messi were underwhelming in the game against Real Madrid. PSG headed to Spain with a 1-0 advantage and very soon made it 2-0. However, a Karim Benzema hat-trick dumped out the French giants. This was yet again the remontada that PSG has become associated with the club. For some reason, the Parisians cannot seem to hold on to their advantage every time they face a big team in the Champions League. And it doesn't make sense, given the fact that PSG are one of the strongest teams in Europe and boast a squad that's being paid a lot of money for those kinds of nights. The match was certainly very long for many players at the Parc des Princes. It must be said that the Parisian supporters did not spare their men, with a few rare exceptions like Kylian Mbappe, with insulting whistles and songs. If there's one player who was particularly targeted, it was Neymar. The Brazilian, a real star of the Qatari project before Mbappe took over, was again disappointing against Real Madrid. And as indicated by the daily L'Équipe, the reception given by the supporters hurt internally. Neymar, for example, didn't really appreciate those whistles, which seems quite logical. But above all, he was not happy with this form of ingratitude coming from the Parisian fans. While he does understand the anger and the disappointment of the supporters after the elimination, he finds them ungrateful. Anyway, we can imagine that all this will weigh in view of a possible decision for his future, given that in the past he has meant to leave Paris to return to Barcelona on several occasions. In the stands, the various chants and whistles also hurt. Nasser Al-Khelaifi was also singled out and cited as one of the men responsible for the debacle. However, he's obviously quite insensitive to criticism and songs from the park. On the other hand, the Parisian management did not appreciate the chants and whistles against Lionel Messi at all. The club's management believes that many supporters are unaware of how lucky they are to have La Pulga in Paris. The newspaper also explains that the fracture between the French-speaking contingent and his relatives and the Spanish-speaking contingent is more visible than ever in the locker room. The next few days look just as dark, and it appears that the club's fans are not going to stop acting this way. The supporters are expected to continue to protest against players and their management during upcoming games. If the win at Parc des Princes was in a hostile setting, the upcoming games will be even more unbearable. Authorities fear that the upcoming games will be targeted by the ultras, who want to express their unhappiness with banners and smoke bombs. The ultras are even looking to attend the women's game and want the owners to realise how much they're neglecting them. But what does this all mean for Lionel Messi? The whistles and boos from the Parc des Princes against Lionel Messi continue to make people talk. Beyond the borders, the whistles and chants against the Argentinian star are not really understood in Spain and Argentina in particular, and according to the latest information from RMC Sport, the 34-year-old striker was hit hard by the whistles against Girondins de Bordeaux despite a comfortable win. But the player's entourage assures us that this episode could motivate him for the rest of his adventure at PSG, and that he's still able to score and make a difference in big matches. He does not want to leave the club either and intends to remain concerned until the end of the season. It remains to be seen whether La Pulga will be able to finish the 2021-22 season in style. But are we really supposed to believe that? Let's be honest here. It was a sad Sunday afternoon for PSG. They won the game 3-0, but the result was meaningless. With the exception of a few players such as Mbappe, Marquinhos and Mendes, who were applauded by the fans, most of the players received abuse and jeering. Whether anyone likes to admit it or not, Messi had a horrible outing in both legs of the Champions League round of 16 game against Real Madrid. He cut an anonymous figure in the first leg in Paris and even had a penalty kick saved by Thibaut Courtois. And then in Madrid, when PSG were 2-0 up, we didn't see any sort of intensity from him. He was clearly not in a great state of mind, and once Karim Benzema had equalised, looked crestfallen like the rest of his teammates. For a player who's won 7 Ballon d'Or titles and has scored some really important goals, this is unacceptable. Players of Messi's stature should be taking a stand for the rest of their teammates when the going gets tough, rather than whimpering away. if that's the right word to use here. No wonder PSG fans are beyond annoyed at him. According to a Catalan journalist, Gerard Romero, Messi's father has contacted the Barcelona management to discuss a return to Camp Nou. Romero says that Jorge, the player's father, has made more than just one call. Messi's desperate to return to comfortable surroundings once again. However, it remains to be seen whether the interest is mutual. As things stand, Barca are heading towards the right direction under Xavi. As a player, Xavi had a great understanding with Messi, and the two were part of arguably the best team of the century. However, a lot's changed since then. Barcelona are moving towards an era where the younger players are now given the chance to lead the club to more success in the coming years. Is Barcelona the right place for Messi anymore? We don't think so. But PSG's crisis is not going to stop Messi wanting to leave. The defeat against Real Madrid has done a lot of damage and has also brought to the fore all the bad calls the club has made in the past. It's been 10 years since the Qataris made PSG a powerhouse in European football, but they've got very little to show for it. Yes, they've signed some truly world-class players and broken transfer records in the process, but is it really enough? Nasser Al-Khelaifi was given all the freedom to do what he wanted, and the PSG president embarked upon an ambitious project. Neymar was brought in to bring the club Champions League glory, but if you remember, he was actually given so much freedom that he was allowed to pick and choose league games and was even given freedom to leave for Brazil whenever he wanted. Al-Khelaifi indulged him a lot, to the point that the player's focus shifted from football to partying and making appearances on the silver screen. All this while, he wanted to leave Parc des Princes. The Brazilian was not happy with how he was treated by the fans at the weekend, and this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. After 5 seasons in the City of Light, maybe it's time for Neymar to leave for good. The only problem is to find a team capable of paying a big transfer fee and offering him a lucrative deal. And then there's the very questionable decision of signing Sergio Ramos. The Spaniard has been a major disappointment. He's only played 5 times across all competitions and reportedly doesn't get along with Mauricio Pochettino and his staff. The vitriolic atmosphere on Sunday might have convinced him to end his time in France. But we must say that all this could be a good thing. Ever since PSG was bought by the Qataris, emphasis has always been on pinning the blame of failures entirely on the manager. First it was Antoine Kombouaré, then Carlo Ancelotti, and then Thomas Tuchel, and now Pochettino. Of course, it's easier to fire a manager than a bunch of players, but this doesn't look good on PSG's recruitment team. It does look nice when the club makes a big money signing, but behind all that, have they ever done any due diligence on the sort of player they're getting? Loyalty and commitment matters a lot, especially if a team aspires to go the distance. Not many players at PSG are here to pull in the same direction, and this is what is happening and has been happening for a very long time. The team lacks leaders. The likes of Marquinhos and Marco Verratti seem to be the only ones who can galvanise the entire team. However, there were similar expectations from the likes of Messi and Neymar. It is a damning indictment on these two that Kylian Mbappe, who is far younger, is the one who's carrying this team in Ligue 1. Imagine where PSG would be if not for Mbappe's goals. Now imagine how messed up the club will be when the young forward leaves. And do we see any plan from PSG to replace the World Cup winner? Sure, they're going to throw a bunch of money towards a big name, but is it going to do the trick? Because if the trick was supposed to work, it would have worked out years ago, and we would have been talking about PSG as a dominant force in European football, and not a team that chokes when it matters the most.